14 races will be drawn in the breakfast marquee as we sit right, maybe 50 yards away from where the starting gate will sit for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Scott Hazelton alongside Gabby Gaudet. Gabby, you've been out here each and every morning reporting, watching these horses work. Now it's time to see how they line up. We'll talk winners, we'll talk losers. There's always, mostly on both sides, there are both, obviously, more oftentimes less losers than there are winners, but there are particular races that you have to focus in on because post position does mean a little bit more.
Yes, for sure. I mean, there are certain races where I don't think the post position will come into play or be a major factor, but when you're talking about races like the Dirt Mile or like the Sprint, I think those are two particular races where post position will matter. But of course, Scott, I mean, I'm just happy to be here. People are pouring in right now as they're getting ready for the post position draw.
The Classic is the big one, as we well know. That will be the final race on this two-day championship here at Santa Anita Park. It is 1.25 miles. The Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, $6 million will be on the line. And as we take a look at the pre-entries, McKinsey expected to be the morning line favorite. We'll see where they fall thereafter. But the thing about running 1.25 miles just about anywhere is that you have so far to sort yourselves out. Post position of all of these races probably comes into play the least here. That and the Breeders' Cup Turf, as they'll be starting on the Hillside Turf Course.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It really just comes down to who is best at the distance. You mentioned McKinsey will likely be your favorite here. This is a look when he did get the victory in the Grade 1 Whitney 2 starts back at Saratoga. And since then, you know, I think it's well documented that Bob Baffert was not happy with the ride and the Awesome Again, and ultimately is taking Mike Smith off of this horse after that particular race. Scott, he's looked great in the morning. He put in his final work this morning, and Bob Baffert doesn't seem like he could be any happier right now with how this horse is coming into the race with Joel Rosario.
The son of Street Sense this year alone has made over $1.21 million. At Santa Anita, he's run 7 times. He has 3 victories and 4 second-place finishes. I guess the one knock about this colt is the distance. He's run twice at the distance. He's yet to succeed at the distance of 1.25 miles. Are you worried about the 10 furlongs for McKinsey against this group here on Saturday?
I think it's a legitimate fear, for sure, because I think there are other horses who are better prone to be getting the distance. I mean, I don't think on McKinsey's best day, I do think he's a standout, but I don't think his best is at 1.25 miles. So that's what makes the race, I think, a bit more intriguing from a betting standpoint.
Elate, on the flip side, she is here because she wants the 1.25 miles. Bill Mott wants her to have the 1.25 miles, and in the Juddmonte Spinster, she was beaten by Blue Prize, who was able to repeat and defend her title in that Grade 1 at Keeneland. That race, a lot of people knocked her, but if you look at the Thoroughgraph figs and the speed figures in general, they're pretty on par from what we normally see from her. Will the step up to 1.25 miles change things for Elate?
For sure, and as you said, that's why they're running her in here. I don't know, Scott. I mean, she really didn't look like her normal self. I know the race didn't come up that slow or that bad on Thoroughgraphs or in Buyer's Speed Figures, whatever figure you decide to use, but visually, I was a bit concerned by that race. That said, it was at 9 furlongs at Keeneland. We could see a completely different story at 1.25 miles, but she does have to run her best race, or even better, I think, to win and pull off the Classic.
How about your boy? You've been on Code of Honors camp since, inception? It seems like,
yeah,
with the son of Noble Mission, a 5-time winner from 9 starts. I mean, I think it's fair to say that 1.25 miles will not be the undoing of this 3-year-old.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you even go back to the Jockey Club when he went against the likes of Vino Rosso, who I think is very interesting. So he clearly can go 1.25 miles. It's just interesting to see how this horse has progressed this season, Scott. I mean, I can remember going back to the juvenile last year. Shug McGahee, unfortunately, had to scratch him or take him out of the pre-entry, or was not able to enter him in the juvenile because he got sick. They had to ship him back to Belmont. They finally got him into a routine, and they finally got him, at his best, where he is one of the best in the Classic, I think. So, yeah, I mean, he could pull it off. I think it depends on the type of trip he gets. I also like Vino Rosso. I just think he's sitting on a big race. He's won at Santa Anita, and he kind of fits the flow.
I agree with you. I think he's a big-time player, the son of Curlin out of Mythical Bride, who's been a fantastic broodmare over the course of her career, of course, bred by the Gunthers, last year's champion breeders in 2018. What has the buzz been like with Yoshida? He is the most confusing horse I think I've encountered over the last couple of years. You just never know when he's going to fire a big race. What's the consensus? I shouldn't say consensus, but as you've been out in the mornings here at Santa Anita, what is your feel on Yoshida?
There hasn't been any particular buzz, I feel like, surrounding him, which is sometimes unusual for Bill Mott horses. A lot of people like to gravitate to Bill Mott horses, but I don't feel that that's particular to him. With him, Scott, he's just going to have to work out a trip. And we've talked about the main track and how it's been playing here at Santa Anita. And I don't know if it's going to be conducive to his running style. And I don't know if he gets the pace that he wants. I mean, he's had positive pace scenarios before in the past and hasn't been able to get it done. So why change now? Why give him a chance on a track that's not conducive to his running style?
Well, here he got pretty decent amount of pace to run at as Yoshida ends up finishing third. The one takeaway from this race, Preservationist retired since then. Bal Harbour was a no-show in the Haggard Fayette on closing day at Keeneland just this past Saturday. So that would be the concern with Yoshida. Now, obviously, Yoshida is a different horse than that of Bal Harbour, but still, he is a very, very interesting horse and one I think that you have to consider at least in the top 3, top 4 if you're playing exotics in the Classic. War of Will, colt by Warfront, another 3-year-old in this group, winner of the Preakness Stakes in the Pennsylvania Derby. He was third, beaten a length and a quarter to Math Wizard, who will be part of this Classic field. Is War of Will, I mean, is he a one-hit wonder from the Preakness Stakes, or can we see him spring what would be considered an upset in the Classic?
He definitely has to turn things around. What could lead to him turning things around is the addition of blinkers. And his last 2 works, Mark Casse has decided to put blinkers on this horse. And talking to, the connections and even talking to people who have seen those 2 works, they said they've been so much better than what he was working like before. He was more focused because he is a horse that tends to lose focus when he makes the lead a little bit early and also tends to not want to pass horses sometimes too. So maybe the blinkers on will completely turn this horse around.
And here's his last race where he finished third behind Math Wizard, who was 31-1 late September at Parks, and a horse that we have seen pick up 3 wins in 2019. And then Mongolian Groom, after the Awesome Again, one of the most interesting encounters I've ever had in my career in the interview. Look for that on Twitter if you've yet to see that interview. Interesting for a lot of reasons, but it seemed like Enebish Gambat was not going to come this way. He admitted he's not the money man. I'm not going to supplement. We're going to focus in on going to Japan, but things changed in the days following his win in the Grade 1 Awesome Again, and now here he is. I mean, do we take him seriously?
I mean, this race was good, and he's been close before in the past, so maybe he is just progressing. I don't think he's impossible, Scott. I'm happy to see them supplement him to the race because I do think that he belongs in a race like this. It makes the Classic, I think, a bit more interesting. I mean, they had to put up $200,000 to get this horse in the race, so obviously they like him. They're confident with him. I wasn't crazy about his last work over the surface. It looked like he was struggling with it a bit. So that would be one of the concerns. And also, I mean, it's a deep Classic.
It most certainly is a deep Classic, very wide-open Classic. As we mentioned, Mackenzie expected to be installed as the morning line favorite. We'll see if that holds up to post time on Saturday. The big one on the dirt is the Classic. The big one on the turf is the turf, the Breeders' Cup turf. And the big news this morning was the fact that Aidan O'Brien revealed that Magical, his sensational filly, who's been asked to do a lot here as of late, coming off of a win in the KIPCO Champion Stakes, would not make the trip. She spiked the temperature. She will not ship. So this opens the door in the Breeders' Cup turf. What's your feeling for this race?
Bricks and mortar.
All the way?
All the way. I'm sorry. Like, if Magical decided to run, well, Aidan O'Brien originally thought that she would probably run in the filly and mare turf, even though she was pre-entered with first preference in the turf. Yeah, I think it's Bricks and Mortar's race to lose, don't you?
It is. I mean, he's a leading contender for Horse of the Year. I mean, right now it's a coin flip, and it depends on what happens on Saturday with Midnight Bisou and Bricks and Mortar. I just worry about his style. We've seen horses shake loose going a mile and a half here at Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup turf. Little Mike comes to mind. Highland Reel comes to mind. I mean,
that was a great race.
You get that breather down the hill, and that certainly changes things. So is his kick going to be as effective? You know that you would assume that he's going to be there late, but looking around at this field, I mean, and the horses we expect to see in here, I think Old Persian deserves a shout. He is a very, very good horse. This is a horse that we saw roll through the Shima Classic on Dubai World Cup night. He was expected to be the most likely winner of that evening, and it turned out to be the case. And he's come over here for Charlie Appleby, over to the States, and already picked up a Grade 1 win in the Northern Dancer. And I think he's a horse that can sit close if, Acclimate goes out there and wings it, which he has to. I think it's Old Persian who sits close enough, has the jump on Bricks and Mortar. And I'm sorry, as much as I love Bricks and Mortar, this is a big step up. This is a massive step up, as it should be when you're dealing with the World Championships.
Yeah, I mean, you look at who he's beaten, Robert Bruce, Kurban, Magic Wand. I mean, there have been some legitimate horses there, but I would agree with you that that's probably his main threat from not only a talent standpoint, but also a tactical standpoint. I mean, what do you do with a horse like Arklow, too, who, on his best day and when he gets the right trip, I mean, he's really good, but is he good enough to beat a horse like Bricks and Mortar? I don't know.
It's going to be a mad dash to the finish, that's for sure. And let's take you back to the Clement L. Hirsch at Arklow, the Joe Hirsch with his Son of Arch. He sat close enough, and it was a slow pace, but, I mean, these races are so different. Do you see them going out in 50? I mean, it's not, you can't say that they will because they're running downhill, but I wonder if he's as good against a group like he'll face on Saturday as the Joe Hirsch at Belmont at the beginning of October. It took him a while to finally break through. He's a nice horse. Brad Cox, a very good conditioner. I just wonder if he's got the class of the two horses we just talked about.
He's just a strange horse, right? Because I'm not taking anything away from Zulu Alpha, who's been a very useful horse this year, but he was beaten by Zulu Alpha, but then he came back and beat Sadler's Joy and Channel Maker in the Turf Classic. So, he's kind of an enigma, I think, and kind of a Jekyll and Hyde type of horse, and that's why I said he needs to be at his best, if not better, to pull off a win, but he's interesting to me.
18 minutes to post before we kick off the 2019 draw for Breeders' Cup here at Santa Anita. When you come back to us live at Santa Anita Park, we'll dive into the races where post position mean the most. Stay tuned. You're watching TVG at the Breeders' Cup.
Sometimes a trip to the casino is not in the cards.
You have gas, there's tolls, there's traffic, there's parking. And what is a resort fee? I think everybody wants to know what a resort fee is. I'd rather just stay and play at home.
With Betfair Casino, you can play anywhere in New Jersey. No long drives, no hassle.
You just can't beat the convenience.
I've downloaded the app. It's fun, it's quick, I can play anywhere in New Jersey.
Playing on Betfair Casino, I save on tolls, I save on time. It's great.
With over 400 casino games, you could be playing your favorite games in 3 simple steps. Step 1. Sign up at betfaircasino.com and get $10 free for joining. Step 2. Make your first deposit and we'll match it up to $2,500. Step 3. Join the thousands in New Jersey playing for real money online.
It doesn't matter, how much we're betting. It's just the excitement of it. The adrenaline starts to flow.
Join the fun today at betfaircasino.com. Try it free.
Run Happy was a really nice racehorse. The biggest attribute that I see about him is the way he stamps his foals. They got big, pretty walks on them. They got good hips and shoulders. Very pretty to look at. And, the real strong hind leg. Everything that you're looking for as a racehorse. That's what impresses me.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
TVG's coverage of the post-position draw for the Breeders' Cup World Championships continues here live at Santa Anita Park, and we promise to dive into the races where post-position means the most, and it's not surprising that we're taking a look at two races, one of which it's a pretty short run up to the first turn, and then the sprints, where you really don't want to be down on the inside. That's the bottom line in any sprint. As we take a look at this group, I mean, Imperial Hint, he's probably the quickest horse in this race. Post position number 1 is where he does not want to be.
I think a lot of trainers are going to be sweating to see where they wind up, because I don't think Imperial Hint wants the rail. I don't think Matoli wants the inside, and I don't think that that Chancelot wants the rail either, because one of his worst races came from the inside too. But I mean, Imperial Hint, what could you say about him? He has just been in tremendous form this year. What a job that Luis Carvajal has done with him.
He really has. Back-to-back Grade 1 victories. A.G. Vanderbilt to the Vosburg here, really just getting up in the end and battling with Firenze Fire and running in 108 and 1, earning a 103 buyer, and prior to that earning a 114 buyer. And you mentioned Chancelot. I mean, this is going to be insane to watch down the backstretch between these two horses. I guess I spoke too soon. Imperial Hint making the lead easily is probably not easy to say that and feel confident about it. I'm spelling side bet here. Who makes the lead?
Between us two?
Between us two. Is it Chancelot who leads going into the turn, or is it Imperial Hint? I think a lot of it has to do with post position.
Depends on post position, but post position aside, I would have to say Chancelot. I think
agree.
Imperial Hint actually is a little bit more tactical than what we all give him credit for. I think he's just very, very fast, and he's just kind of run fields off of their feet before, but he's also been fine stalking from off the pace too.
And here's a look at Chancelot in a tough beat. Omaha Beach coming up along the inside, and the fantastic comeback. We'll see him getting ready for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and we'll talk more about the mile in just a few moments. I think that this horse, this is my perception, he earned that 121 buyer, then he bounced. Then he's rounded back up. That was a move forward, a move back up the ladder. To expect him to run a 121 buyer is not sensible when it comes to Chancelot. I think this horse is sitting on a very big race for Jorge Navarro, and you can't discount him which is going to be arguably the toughest race of the day. When you talk about these two horses and Matoli, Grade 1 Met Mile winner, he rounded back into form. He's ultra fast. This is going to be a hell of a renewal of the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
It's amazing. I mean, and talking about Chancelot too, he seems to have settled here nicely, because he ran here at Santa Anita, and he's been preparing here at Santa Anita, and I think that's very important with a horse like this, who looked like the Amsterdam did take a lot out of him.
And here's a look at Matoli as we roll back the Run Happy Met Mile from Belmont Stakes weekend, and he's able to hold off McKenzie as McKenzie encountered just a little bit of trouble. Thunder Snow, he ran a good third in that race. Unfortunately, we were not able to see him move forward off of that. But Matoli, off of that effort, speaking to the connections, they admitted he just bounced. That's what happened in the A.G. Vanderbilt, where he was third, beaten 7.5 to Imperial Hint. Diamond Oops was second in that race. That's a horse that we'll be talking about when it comes to the Dirt Mile, who we saw almost spring a massive upset in the Grade 1 Shadwell Turf Mile at Keeneland Racecourse. But I can't get away from Matoli. He is arguably my favorite horse over the last 5 years. He just doesn't stop. You watch his action, he just keeps on going. There is no skip as far as the way that he moves. And he's got one speed, and that's fast. Bottom line, this horse is a serious runner.
You look at him, and he just exemplifies sprinter from a physical standpoint. His shoulders, his chest, his hindquarters, I mean, they're just so strong. He has looked incredible in the lead up to the Breeders' Cup. And also, I was talking to Scott Blasi. Scott, they've been here since September 30th. Steve normally ships in early, but this horse has had so much time to acclimate, train over the track. I mean, you couldn't get any better than the work that we saw two back. It just looks like the horse that's coming into it the best. That said, I mean, Imperial Hint apparently worked really well at Monmouth, so I think this is the best race of the weekend. I am so excited to see this one.
And then Catalina Cruiser, John Sadler opting for this spot over the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And this is a horse that a lot of people last year at Churchill Downs felt like was the biggest cinch of the weekend, and he laid the biggest egg of the weekend when City of Light absolutely crushed that group. And obviously that was backed up with a big win in the Pegasus World Cup at Gulfstream Park at the end of January. But he's come back. He's done nothing but win. I know a lot of people have criticized this horse, but how can you criticize a horse who is 3 for 3 on the year and it's been nothing but triple-digit buyers for the Son of Union Rags?
I can't criticize him. I guess my only thing is, and he's definitely a quality sprinter, but the Dirt Mile has Omaha Beach and Improbable. I just think this is a deeper field with a horse that's more versatile. So I was kind of not surprised, but it was interesting to me that John Sadler picked the sprint over the Dirt Mile.
I was a bit surprised too. I think that he thinks this race falls apart. I think that's part of it. And this horse just keeps on coming. He's not going to outsprint the Chancelots, the Imperial Hints, and even the Matolis of the world. But if things get nuts, watch for Catalina Cruiser to come on rolling late and potentially get there and get a little redemption on the Breeders' Cup weekend versus last year where, as we mentioned, he was so flat. All right, that's the sprint. The Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. You want to talk about this one as far as a race that the post position means so much. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be inside saving ground? Do you want to be out? I mean, obviously you don't want to be outside where you're losing ground. Or do you want to kind of be in that sweet spot, maybe 3 to 4 to 5? Is that kind of where you'd like to be?
I'd say the middle. Yeah, for sure. I'd say the middle would be the best spot because the outside, Scott, the funny thing about the Dirt Mile is that it changes so much from venue to venue where the Breeders' Cup hosts the Breeders' Cup. It's a championship. You know, at Churchill, you know, you have that one-turn mile. It's a tricky race even at Keeneland, but here at Santa Anita, it's a two-turn race, and it's got a very short run into the first turn, so you don't want an outside post position. I do think that it really compromises horses.
Omaha Beach, you saw it once. It's worth looking at 10 more times. Let's be fair. His comeback race in the Grade 1 Santa Anita Sprint Championship. This was off of a layoff from April to October. He's picked up 2 Grade 1 wins this year, one going a mile and 1/8, one sprinting against Older in this race. He's right in the thick of it as far as 3-year-old champion of 2019. If he wins this, it certainly comes down to what we'll see from Code of Honor in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But for Omaha Beach, one would expect that he'll be laying off the pace, right? Is that fair for him in this spot?
For sure. And, you know, he looks like he has the mind and the tactical type of running style in order to pull that type of race off. I think his biggest threat is going to be Improbable in here. Just the way that Bob Baffert has been talking about how Improbable's been working. He just looks like he's coming into it well. And, you know, Omaha Beach is stretching out from 3/4 to the 2-turn mile, so it is a stepping stone for him. This is his biggest threat.
And this was his win in the Shared Belief. This was down at Del Mar. He did beat King Jack. King Jack is a very nice horse. Bottom line, he came out of there and picked up a graded stakes win at Parks in his subsequent start. But then what happened in the Pennsylvania Derby? I mean, I think we overdid it with Improbable, and it always happens. We started to compare him to Justify because he looked like him. He was a little bit smaller and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you know, maybe we've just been expecting too much from Improbable. The Pennsylvania Derby is beaten by Math Wizard, who was 31-1.
Right, but he didn't get out of the gate very well. He didn't have the greatest
happens so
start.
often.
It does, and you can probably overcome it at 9 furlongs versus a mile. I mean, let's create a scenario where Improbable has the outside post position at the mile, and given his history with problems coming out of the gate, where does that leave him? I think that's a huge problem.
I mean, it leaves him in a spot where he's either back behind horses taking dirt or he's wide where you don't want to be. So, I mean, I respect him, obviously, as it is a horse trained by Bob Baffert, but I just, his inconsistency is too much for me to overlook when it comes to facing horses like Omaha Beach, and even Firenze Fire, even a horse by the name of Spun to Run. Mm-hmm. He was out here this morning looking nice. He earned a 110 buyer last time out in the park in a small stakes race at Parks, but You know, it's a really good race. We could sit here. I mean, we've sat here for basically 30 minutes and talked about
Actually,
three
they
races.
stood here.
For 30 minutes and talked about 4 races, to be fair. I mean, this just goes to show you how excited we get about being at these World Championships, because it truly does bring together the best of the best, and there are so many horses that deserve looks in this race. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the TVG Juvenile, takes place as the big race on Friday. It'll be the final race of the Breeders' Cup card, and so much discussion has come as far as the workouts are concerned. And Maxfield, I thought I'd get a price on him. I really did.
Good luck.
I thought we were going to get a decent price. The Claiborne Breeders' Futurity winner at Keeneland. But, I mean, off of this workout at Keeneland, there's no shot, right? I mean, he's going to be 7-2.
He looked like he was just floating. He was like levitating over the Keeneland surface. Everything that he does just seems like it comes so easily to him. You know, I think the biggest thing, and I talked to Brendan Walsh about this earlier this morning, is him getting out of the gate. And his only 2 starts, he doesn't get out of the gate. Brendan did say he did wish that he had an opportunity to do more gate work with him prior to his first start. But then, you know, you look at his second start in the Breeders' Futurity, and he still didn't get out of the gate. I think that's going to be his biggest obstacle to overcome, to run down horses like Dennis's Moment and 8 Rings.
I agree with you 100% on that. And here he is running down some company in his workout in, 47 and change was the final time, 48 and change we saw from him. I believe it was 47. But the bottom line was he's in hand. He's not being asked whatsoever. And I do worry about that, because when you're chasing faster horses like he's never chased before, like 8 Rings, like Dennis's Moment, as good as he is, he's going to have some ground to make up if he doesn't break sharply. So let's hope that that is a different case for him come Friday. The son of Street Sense, the homebred for Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum's worldwide force that is Godolphin. Dennis's Moment, rather, combining the two. Yeah, why not?
Top
Dennis's Moment, a horse that has done nothing wrong in his last 2 starts. He certainly had no luck in his first start, where he clipped heels, lost his jock, and it was game over. But where would you rank this workout from Dennis's Moment up against Maxfield?
That's a tough one. That is a very tough question. I think I would probably give it to, I don't know. I would give it to Dennis's Moment.
Okay.
Because I think it holds a little bit more weight, considering it happened here at Santa Anita. And I like the fact that Dale Roman shipped this horse early. He had one work at Churchill, a track that he's known to like. But he came here and he was just as good, if not better, at Santa Anita. So I think that's important. He looks like he just glides over the surface, and he's another one that has the right type of mind and disposition to get the job done. I mean, Dale Romans, we know he likes to talk a lot. He talks to us all the time.
Right.
But he says he hasn't seen or been around a horse like this in a long time, if not ever. And those are strong, powerful words coming from Dale.
They are. And for Dennis's Moment, I think he wants an outside draw. I don't think he wants to be down on the inside.
Could be.
I think that's where he's going to find himself. And given the best opportunity, that's where he find himself to the outside. Now, 8 Rings broke his maiden flashily, then ducked in at the gap, and then worked out yesterday and saw some folks criticize his gallop out.
Yeah.
What did you make of the gallop out with 8 Rings?
Well, he was traveling okay coming down the stretch, and then when Bob did mention that he didn't want him to have a strong gallop out. Usually Bob's strong gallop outs come in the second to last work. So he did ask the exercise rider to pull him up a little bit earlier. But then when he did ask for that, he took a right-hand turn. He started to lug out. And Bob said that he thought that he might have seen something in the infield, but his horse's quirks are well documented. And that's an issue. I mean, he dropped the rider in the Del Mar Futurity. He broke outwardly coming out of the gate in the American Pharoah. And he was kind of getting out after his last work. I mean, this horse has quirks. Luckily, Johnny Velasquez has experience on him, and talking to Johnny Velasquez, he said you need to keep his attention. He wants people who might be to his outside to keep his attention. So I think post position will be key for 8 Rings. I think he probably wants a post position in the middle or more towards the inside.
Just to keep himself kind of focused maybe in that straight line, because, if he does draw wide, I'm not going to even say it. I'm not going to even say it. We are getting ready for the post position draw here live at Santa Anita Park. 14 races to be drawn for the World Championships, which go over the course of Friday the 1st and Saturday the 2nd. Future Stars Friday when it comes to the 2-year-olds, and then the older horses will take center stage. When you come back up on the stage will be Lafitte Pinkai III, Nick Luck, and
This is a Kentucky Thoroughbred. This is a Kentucky-built Powerfoil industrial fan. Like a Thoroughbred, it too delivers unrivaled performance. And while they both run with purpose and pride, this one
Jay, thanks so much. 2-time Triple Crown winning trainer Bob Baffert has arrived, so we can start the draw now for the 36 Breeders' Cup World Championships. Welcome, everyone, to the draw brought to you by Rood and Riddle, the Breeders' Cup being contested here at Santa Anita for a record 10th time. You think back to some of the more memorable moments in the history of the Breeders' Cup that have taken place right here. Some of the most incredible performances, some of the more improbable performances. You think back to Arkang, 133-1 shocker in the 1993 Breeders' Cup Classic. Jerry Bailey couldn't understand the instructions in the paddock. 10 years later, Richard Mandella, man-o Mandella of a day, 4 Breeders' Cup wins on one program, and that's back when the Breeders' Cup was a single-day, 8-race event. Incredible. A little more recent, Goldikova, the first of her 3 Breeders' Cup triumphs. It's still the only 3-peat winner in the Breeders' Cup history. We'll see if Stormy Liberal has something to say about that. Goldikova winning her first 2 Breeders' Cups right here. And then, of course, with the grandstand and rafters shaking, Zenyatta in the 09 Classic becoming the first and only female to win a Breeders' Cup Classic. We'll see if Alade has something to say about that in this year's edition. And then the last time we were here, 2016, the last Breeders' Cup event that was contested here, an absolute classic in the classic. Arrogate running down, Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner, California Chrome. And I think back to something Mike Smith told us just before the race. He says, I think Arrogate can beat California Chrome because he's LeBron James. And here we are 3 years later. LeBron James is in Los Angeles. Mike Smith is still doing his thing. And we have 14 Breeders' Cup races coming up on Friday and Saturday. One of the best, some of the feedback we got from last year's draw is how quick it was. We really rattled through all the races, so we're going to try to keep up the same type of tempo, get through all those races. The draw for the 14 Breeders' Cup events coming up very shortly, but first, we do have some words from Fred Hertrick, the chairman of the Breeders' Cup. Fred?
Good afternoon, everybody. I've got an awful lot of people in this full room, but I have no excitement. Come on now, we're all happy to be here. 36 Breeders' Cup right here in Santa Anita. On behalf of the board of directors and the members and our foal and stallion nominators, as well as our Breeders' Cup staff, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 2019 Breeders' Cup World Championship and today's post position draw sponsored by Rood and Riddle. In the early 1980s, John Gaines had a dream that one day the world's top horses, trainers, and jockeys would gather each year to compete on the grand stage to determine the champions of our sport. Well, we are proud and excited to say that his dream has been realized every year since 1984 and look forward to do it once again for the 36th time this Friday and Saturday here in the shadows of the San Gabriel Mountains at the great race place, Santa Anita Park. Our World Championships this year will feature participants from England, Ireland, France, Germany, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Mongolia, South Korea, and Japan. That lineup has never been done before. It is with us this year, and we are very proud and very happy that, and a round of applause for those people that have entered horses from around the world and brought them here. This is truly now a worldwide event, and we welcome our guests and thank them for celebrating with us. We are very proud to partner with the Stronach Group, in Santa Anita Park, who are hosting the Breeders' Cup for an unprecedented 10th time. This is very much a team effort, and we are so appreciative of their hospitality. We also thank the California Horse Racing Board, the Thoroughbred owners of California, and the California Thoroughbred trainers for their commitment to these championships. Additionally, we would like to recognize our dedicated Breeders' Cup sponsors and partners for their support, along with our network partner, NBC Sports, for its outstanding coverage of the World Championships and the commitment to thoroughbred racing all year long. Finally, we salute all those who work with and care for these great animals, our horses, on the backstretch each day and every day to get them ready for these World Championship races and this weekend. Thanks very much, and a big thank you. I mentioned earlier we are very proud of our sponsors, and we are very pleased that Rood & Riddle is sponsoring today's postseason draw. It is my pleasure now to introduce you the co-founder of Rood & Riddle, Dr. Tom Riddle. Tom?
Well, I want to join with Mr. Hertrich to welcome you all to the Breeders' Cup. Rood & Riddle is very, very proud and pleased to sponsor the post-position draw because we know it's important to support the thoroughbred industry. So I wish all the riders, trainers, jockeys, everyone the best of luck at the Breeders' Cup on Friday and Saturday. Thank you very much.
Dr. Riddle, thanks so much. So let's get it underway. 14 Breeders' Cup events. I'd like to introduce from the Santa Anita Racing Department, Steve Lim, Vice President of Racing and Racing Secretary. Welcome and thanks so much, Steve. Also, James Kasparov, Stakes Coordinator. They'll be handling the draw for the 14 Breeders' Cup events. Brittany Urton will be handling the dirt races. Nick Luck will be handling the grass races for the 14 championship events, the morning line provided by John White. So let's get right to it, starting with the first of the 14 Breeders' Cup events, the Juvenile Turf Sprint with Nick Luck.
12, right? 12.
Lafitte, thank you very much indeed. Yes, the first race we're going to draw this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, is the $1 million Grade 2 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, the second edition.
The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint was contested for the first time on this stage last year at Churchill Downs. Off just one start for trainer Todd Pletcher, Bulletin blitzed the field in dazzling fashion.
Bulletin is a Breeders' Cup winner.
At 5 furlongs, a good start is crucial to success in this newest race on the Breeders' Cup card. This is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint.
And a field of 12, a full field of 12 going to post over 5 furlongs for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. And there are 4 also eligibles, gentlemen.
Also eligible number 13, Bulletproof One. Also eligible number 14, Air Force Jet. Also eligible number 15, For Left. And also eligible number 16, Karak.
Thank you very much indeed. After the draw has been made, I'll be reading out the morning line odds courtesy of the handicapper here, John White. So let's start then with the dozen that take the line for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint.
Number 2. Number 2, Band Practice.
Band Practice for Jamie Spencer from post position 2, 12-1 on the morning line.
Number 1. Number 1, Chimney Rock.
Drawing the inside post, Chimney Rock. Jose Ortiz, Morning line odds of 10 to 1.
Number 5. Number 5, Encoder.
5 is Encoder. Morning line odds of 15 to 1, ridden by Flavien Prat.
Number 12. Number 12, Cambria.
12 is Cambria, the mount of Tyler Gaffleone. Morning line odds of 12 to 1.
Number 10. Number 10, I Ali.
Number 10. Some Frankie Dettori fans out there in audio. 10 is A. Ali, ridden by Frankie Dettori. Morning line odds of 6 to 1.
Number 8. Number 8, Dr. Simpson.
Another European, Dr. Simpson, the mount of Richard Kingscote. Morning line odds of 15 to 1. Draws post 8.
Number 11. Number 11, King Neptune.
Post position 11 for King Neptune, ridden by Ryan Moore.
Number 4. Number 4, Dream Shot.
Post position 4 for Dream Shot. The first Breeders' Cup starter for Chris Hayes. Morning line odds of 15 to 1.
Number 3. Number 3, Another Miracle.
Post position 3 for Another Miracle, the mount of Manny Franco, 15 to 1.
Number 9. Number 9, Four-Wheel Drive.
Number 9, post position 9, four-wheel drive, ridden by Irad Ortiz Jr. and the morning line favorite at odds of 3 to 1.
Number 7. Number 7, Kimari.
And number 7 is the stable companion to four-wheel drive Kimari, the mount of last year's winning rider John Velasquez, odds of 7 to 2.
And number 6. And number 6, Alligator Alley.
And completing the lineup, trained by Joseph O'Brien, successful, of course, on St. Nicholas Abbey as a rider here. This is Alligator Alley. Wayne Lawton takes the ride. Morning line odds of 12 to 1. So that completes the full field of 12 for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. We will move right on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, presented by Coolmore America.
The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf has featured a distinctly European flavor since joining the lineup of races 12 years ago. Line of Duty continued that trend with a victory in last year's renewal, and the 2013 edition here at Santa Anita saw Outstrip get home first. But 3 years ago, Oscar Performance carried the flag for America with an impressive triumph on this grass course. This is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, presented by Coolmore America.
$1 million the total purse fund for this race that was first run here at Santa Anita. It's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf presented by Coolmore America. 1 mile on the turf track here. Aidan O'Brien has won this race 4 times. Full field of 14 with 1 also eligible.
Also eligible, number 15, Deviant.
Deviant's the also eligible. Let's have a look at the 14 that stand their ground.
Number 4. Number 4, Decorated Invader.
Post position 4 for Decorated Invader. Irad Ortiz Jr. taking the ride. 4 to 1. 4 to 1, second choice on the morning line.
Number 3. Number 3, Peace Achieved.
Peace Achieved, winner of a win and you're in at Keeneland. Miguel Mena taking the ride. Morning line odds of 10 to 1. For Mark Cassey.
Number 14. Number 14, Hit the Road.
14 is Hit the Road, locally trained by Dan Blacker. Flavien Prat takes the ride, takes over in the saddle. Morning line odds of 10 to 1, the Zuma Beach winner.
Number 5. Number 5, Vitology.
5 is Vitology, trained by Brendan Walsh. Javier Castellano rides, odds of 10 to 1.
Number 1. Number 1, Our Country.
Drawing the inside berth on the lawn here, Our Country, John Velasquez rides. Morning line odds of 15 to 1.
Number 8. Number
8. Into the 8 goes Billy Batts, who does run in this race. Paco Lopez is the man in the saddle.
Number 9.
Number 9, Gear Jockey.
Number 9, Gear Jockey. Tyler Gaffleone, 20-1.
Number 11.
Number 11, Proven Strategies.
Number 11 is Proven Strategies. Edgar Zayas rides morning line odds of 30-1.
Number 2.
Number 2, Structor.
2 is the Chad Brown trained Structor, ridden by Jose Ortiz. Morning line odds of 5-1 for Structor.
Number 10.
Number 10, War Beast.
Into post position 10 goes War Beast. Abel Cedillo, 20-1.
Number 7.
Number 7, Andesite.
Into post position 7, Andesite. Joel Rosario rides. Morning line odds of 12-1.
Number 6.
Number 6, Graceful Kitten.
Into post position 6 goes Graceful Kitten. Jockey Hector Berrios in the saddle. 15-1.
Number 12.
Number 12, Arizona.
12 is the morning line 5-2 favorite, Arizona, for Aidan O'Brien, who's won this race 4 times before. Ryan Moore is in the saddle. Post position 12 for Arizona.
Number 13.
Number 13, Fort Myers.
Fort Myers, the stable companion of Arizona, will be ridden by Wayne Lorden. Goes into 13 and is a 12-1 shot on the morning line. So that completes the full field of 14 for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf presented by Coolmore America. And now on to the first race on the main track. And I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Brittany Earton.
9.
That'll need to be lowered. As he mentioned, the first dirt race on Future Star Fridays, the fillies will take the stage in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies is a race that has been at times formful and other times unpredictable over its long run. In 2003, Julie Crone's expert ride aboard Half Bridle made her the first female rider to win a Breeders' Cup. And in the 2014 edition here at Santa Anita, Take Charge Brandy lit up the tote board. This is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
Perhaps a look at the future favorite for the Kentucky Oaks. It is a field of 9 fillies entered into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. $2 million on the line, and 1 1/16 is the distance. Gentlemen?
Number 2.
Number 2, 260.
260, number 2 for trainer Mark Cassidy, one of 2 fillies in this entry. Edgar Zayas in the irons, 15-1 morning line odds.
Number 6.
Number 6, Bast.
Number 6, Bast for Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. John Velasquez in the irons, 7-2 on the morning line.
Number 1.
Number 1, Donna Veloce.
Inside post for your morning line favorite, Donna Veloce, 3-1 for trainer Simon Callahan. This will be the 3rd time he sends out the morning line favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
Number 8.
Number 8, KP Dreaming.
Number 8, KP Dreamin' for trainer Jeff Mullins, 20-1 on the morning line. Ruben Fuentes in the irons.
Number 4.
Number 4, British Idiom.
British Idiom for trainer Brad Cox, one of 5 runners on the 2 days, 7-2 on the morning line. Javier Castellano in the irons.
Number 7.
Number 7, Wicked Whisper.
Wicked Whisper, number 7, 7-2 on the morning line for Steve Asmussen. Joel Rosario in the irons.
Number 5.
Number 5, Lazy Daisy.
Lazy Daisy, 12-1 on the morning line. Post position 5, one of 2 fillies for trainer Doug O'Neill. Rafael Bejarano has the mount.
Number 9.
Number 9, Comical.
Number 9, Comical, a hard-fought second-place finish in the Grade 1 Chandelier. Last out, Abel Cedillo in the irons.
And number 3.
And number 3, Perfect Alibi.
Perfect Alibi, post position 3 for trainer Mark Cassie. 10-1 on the morning line. Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons. And this is the field for the $2 million Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, a field of 9, morning line favorite along the rail. To continue with Future Stars Fridays, we'll bring up Nick Luck for the Juvenile Turf.
It's all right, you don't have to applaud for us every time. Here we go for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf.
The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf is contested at 1 mile here at Santa Anita, and U.S. runners have dominated their international counterparts, winning 9 of the 11 runnings. The amazing Lady Eli won the Juvenile Fillies Turf on this grass course back in 2014, and it was here in 2008 that Maram got home first for a then little-known trainer named Chad Brown. This is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf.
Little known now, and indeed Chad Brown has won 4 editions of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, including the last 3. Field of 13 has drawn into this race, so no also eligibles. Field of 13 here for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, gentlemen.
14.
I beg your pardon. Correction. 14. Apologies.
Number 4.
Number 4, Abscond.
Post position 4 then for Abscond. Eddie Keneally trains. Irad Ortiz Jr. took this race last year. Odds of 15-1.
Number 9.
Number 9, Albania.
Number 9. Post position 9 for the morning line favourite at 9-2, Albania. The Irish trained filly for Jesse Harrington. Jockey Shane Foley on his Breeders' Cup debut in the colours of the Niarchos family's Flaxman Holdings.
Number 1.
Number 1, Living in the Past.
Drawing the inside post is Living in the Past, the Lowther Stakes winner at York. Daniel Tudhope riding for Carl Burke, odds of 15-1. 1-5, 15-1.
Number 6.
Number 6, Unforgettable.
Post position 6 for Unforgettable. Post position 6 for Unforgettable. Wayne Lorden taking the ride, 20-1.
Number 8.
Number 8, Tango.
8 is Tango. Aidan O'Brien has not won this race. Ryan Moore takes the ride, 10-1.
Number 11.
Number 11, Sharing.
Post position 11 for Sharing. Manny Franco for trainer Graham Motion. 12-1.
Number 5.
Number 5, Daia.
Post position 5 for Daia for Roger Varian. William Buick in the saddle, 5-1. Second choice on the morning line. Daia, the winner of the Rockville Stakes.
Number 2.
Number 2, Croak of Oak.
Post position 2 for Crow of Oak. Flavian Pratt rides. Morning line odds of 20-1. 20-1, number 2, Crow of Oak.
Number 7.
Number 7, Cristal.
Post position 7 for Cristal, the mount of Joel Rosario. Morning line odds of 8-1. 8-1 for Cristal.
Number 13.
Number 13, Selflessly.
Drawing post position 13 is Selflessly, ridden by the man who took this race on Rushing Fall and New Money Honey, Javier Castellano. Morning line odds of 8-1.
Number 10.
Number 10, Fair Maiden.
Fair Maiden, who'll be ridden by Drayden Van Dyke, draws post position 10, morning line odds of 12 to 1.
Number 3.
Number 3, Shaden.
Drawing post position 3, Shaden from the stable of Andrew Balding, ride for Jamie Spencer here, morning line odds of 10 to 1, Shaden.
Number 14.
Etoile.
Drawing 14, the outside post is Etoile. Just the second time in Breeders' Cup history that Frankie Dettori has teamed up with Aidan O'Brien. He rode Chiquita for him in the turf a few years ago. Morning line odds of 12 to 1.
Number 12.
And number 12 is Sweet Melania.
And happily, Sweet Melania in post position 12 to round out the field, ridden by Jose Ortiz for Todd Pletcher, who won this race with More Than Real in 2010. Morning line odds have 5 to 1. So they are the 14 that go to post in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. $1 million over a mile. Brittany now for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and what a race it is.
The TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile is truly a matchup of East versus West and superstars in the making. Let's take a look. The TVG Breeders' Cup.
The TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile is the race that produces the early Kentucky Derby favorite. Nyquist completed that rare double when his 2015 Juvenile victory was a prelude to Derby glory. A year later, it was Classic Empire who prevailed on the way to an Eclipse Award. And the 2012 renewal saw Shanghai Bobby keep his record perfect with a narrow escape at the Santa Anita finish line. This is the TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
$2 million on the line, and yes, a potential look at your Kentucky Derby favorite. They will be going a mile and a 16th, and a total of 9 horses have been entered. Gentlemen?
Number 2.
Number 2, Wrecking Crew.
Wrecking Crew for trainer Peter Miller and Paco Lopez. Post position 2, 20 to 1.
Number 3.
Number 3, Shoplifted.
Shoplifted for trainer Steve Asmussen. Post position 3, 20 to 1, and Ricardo Santana Jr. has them out.
Number 1.
Number 1, Dennis's Moment.
Your morning line favorite, Dennis's Moment, draws the rail 8 to 5 on the morning line for trainer Dale Romans. Remember, the Albaugh family stables finished second back in 2016 with Not This Time. Dennis's Moment looks to give them one better.
Number 8.
Number 8, Full Flat.
Full Flat, the Japanese runner, 30 to 1. Post position 8, Japanese sensation Yutaka Taki in the irons.
Number 7.
Number 7, A New Door.
A New Door for trainer Blaine Wright. Juan Hernandez has them out 15 to 1 on the morning line. Post position 7.
Number 4.
Number 4, Storm the Court.
Storm the Court, post position 4, Flavian Pratt in the irons for trainer Peter Urton.
Number 9.
Number 9, Maxfield.
Maxfield, a very impressive winner last out for trainer Brendan Walsh, gets post position 9, 3 to 1 on the morning line. It has been 10 years since Godolphin's last juvenile victory. This homebred looks to give him that.
Number 6.
Number 6, 8 Rings.
8 rings named for Bill Belichick's 8 Super Bowl rings looks to give Bob Baffert a record-tying 5th victory in the juvenile. Post position 6 for 8 rings, 2 to 1 on the morning line.
Number 5.
Number 5, Scabbard.
And number 5, Scabbard for trainer Eddie Keneally. Get the Hall of Famer Mike Smith in the irons. And that is your field for the TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile, which will round out the Breeders' Cup races for Future Stars Friday. Take a good look at that. It is going to be quite the race from really some superstars east and west. So we're going to take a short commercial break, but I would love a round of applause for all connections thus far on Future Stars Friday.
Not bad. Welcome back to the Root and Riddle Breeders' Cup post position draw, the 36th edition, 10th, a record 10th hot time here at Santa Anita. So we know what the 2-year-old's going to look like with Future Stars Friday. So much excitement, not because of just the championship implications, the big purses, what it represents for tomorrow. A preview of the Oaks, maybe a look ahead to a Derby winner. We'll see what those classic races look like in time. So those races, we have the fields. Time now to look ahead to the Saturday races, 9 of them headlined by the $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. We start with the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint and Brittany Urton.
All right, let's get Saturday going. Kicks off with the Filly and Mare Sprint, $1 million on the line and 7 furlongs the distance.
The Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint is a different kind of test from the one faced by their male counterparts. The ladies are asked to go a furlong further at 7 furlongs. Last year, Shamrock Rose was a specialist at that distance, and it paid dividends on Breeders' Cup Day. Her win followed the 2017 victory by Bar of Gold, which produced an even bigger payoff. This is the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint.
A total of 9 horses entered for the $1 million Filly and Mare Sprint. No doubt going to unfold at a quick pace with some sensational fillies and mares.
Number 9.
Number 9, Spice Perfection.
Spice Perfection, post position 9 for trainer Peter Miller. A very impressive winner of the TCA after stumbling out of the gate. Jean Velasquez in the irons.
Number 1.
Number 1, Kofifi.
Kofefe, it is the rail draw for the Brad Cox trainee. Wow, has she blown the roof off of the place in some of her races. Very impressive. Joel Rosario in the irons.
Number 5.
Number 5, Lady Ninja.
Number 5 is Lady Ninja for trainer Richard Baltus. Drayden Van Dyke will be in the irons, post position 5.
Number 7.
Number 7, Selcourt.
7, Speedy Selcourt for trainer John Sadler. He will have Luis Saez in the irons. Selcourt, post position 7.
Number 2.
Number 2, Danuska's My Girl.
Danuska's My Girl, post position 2 for trainer Dan Ward. Giovanni Franco has the mount.
Number 3.
Number 3, Heaven Has My Nikki.
Number 3, Heaven Has My Nikki for trainer Bob Hess. He has Ricardo Santana Jr. with the call.
Number 8.
Number 8, Dawn the Destroyer.
Dawn the Destroyer for Kieran McLaughlin, Tyler Gaffleone in the irons with post position 8.
Number 6.
Number 6, Bella Fina.
Bella Fina, your favorite for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies in 2017, looks to stay undefeated at Santa Anita for trainer Simon Callahan and Flavian Pratt.
Number 4.
Number 4, Come Dancing.
Come Dancing for trainer Carlos Martin. This will mark his first Breeders' Cup runner, Javier Castellano. That is your field for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. A total of 9 runners. We'll effort to get you guys those morning line odds as soon as we can. Oh, coming right up to me. Ask and you shall receive. Wonderful. We'll have them on the graphics in just a second. So I'm going to roll straight through from the rail out. Kofefi, 2-1 on the morning line. She is your morning line favorite. Post position 2, Danuska's My Girl, 20-1. 3, Heaven Has My Nikki, 20-1. 4, Come Dancing, 5-2. Second choice on the morning line. 5 is Lady Ninja, 10-1 for Richard Baltus. Post 6 is Bella Fina. Mark her at 6-1. The 7 is Selcourt, 10-1 morning line odds. The 8, Dawn the Destroyer, 12-1. And last but surely not least, Spice Perfection outside post. John Velasquez in the irons, 4-1 on the morning line. So thank you for the patience. We'll continue on with Saturday. Nick?
Brittany, thank you very much indeed. Intriguing race up next. It is this year's edition of the $1 million Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
The Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint will be run over a distance of 5 furlongs, and the most minuscule of mistakes can prove costly. Last year, Stormy Liberal's last-second lunge gave him a second straight win in the Turf Sprint. In 2008, Desert Code lit up the Santa Anita tote board with this stirring stretch run, and Misdirection's win here in 2013 gave her back-to-back scores in this race. This is the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
And it's a race that has been run over a variety of distances since its inception here at Santa Anita in 2008. And this time a slight difference. It will be run here not over 6.5 furlongs, but over a flat 5 furlongs. It's the 4th time in all editions that it's been run over that distance. So 5 furlongs the distance, $1 million for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. 12 have drawn into this race. I hope I've got this right this time. 2 also eligibles, gents.
Also eligible, number 13, Girls Know Best. And also eligible, number 14, Double Touch.
So let's press forward with the dozen that do take their chance in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
Number 7.
Number 7, Leinster.
Post position 7 for Leinster. Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle, and we will bring you the morning line odds just as soon as we get them through.
Number 9.
Number 9, Final Frontier.
Post position 9 then for Final Frontier. Luis Saiz riding for Tommy Albatrani.
Number 5.
Number 5, Stubbins.
Drawing post position 5 is Stubbins. Flavian Pratt for trainer Doug O'Neill.
Number 6.
Number 6, Stormy Liberal.
The hat-trick seeker has post position 6 over 5 furlongs here. Stormy Liberal will be ridden by John Velasquez, of course, for Peter Miller.
Number 3.
Number 3, Imprimis.
Post position 3 for Imprimis. Frankie Dettori, an eye-catching booking here for trainer Joe Orsino.
Number 12.
Number 12, Belvoir Bay.
Post position 12. For the stable companion of Stormy Liberal, this is Belvoir Bay, the filly, in the colors of Gary Barber, who'll be represented by War of Will in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Javier Castellano from post position 12.
Number 2.
Number 2, Pure Sensation.
Post position 2 for Pure Sensation. Paco Lopez riding for Christophe Clement.
Number 10.
Number 10, Eddie Haskell.
Stall 10 for Eddie Haskell. Joel Rosario for Mark Glatt.
Number 8.
Number 8, Legends of War.
Post position 8 for Legends of War. Doug O'Neill trains and Rafael Bejarano takes the ride.
Number 4.
Number 4, Shecky Shabazz.
Post position 4, Shecky Shabazz. Irad Ortiz Jr. for Jason Service.
Number 11.
Number 11, Ohm.
And 11 is Ohm. Manny Franco, another one for Peter Miller, fielding 3 of this 12-strong field. And
number 1.
Number 1, Totally Boss.
And 1, Totally Boss. Rounds out the field, Jose Ortiz in the saddle. And I will read them inside out. The morning line odds in post position 1, Totally Boss, 5-1. 5-1 Totally Boss. In 2, Pure Sensation, 5-1 also. In Primis, 8-1 under Frankie Dettori. Shecky Shabazz is 12-1. Shecky Shabazz, Irad Ortiz Jr. Stubbins, 12-1. Flavien Prat, who has won this race before on the very popular, obviously, in 2016. Stormy Liberal, the hat-trick seeker, 8-1 on the morning line for John Velasquez. Leinster, Tyler Gaffleone, 8-1. Legends of War, 20-1. Final Frontier, Louis Saiz, 6-1. Eddie Haskell is the 9-2 narrow morning line favorite here. Joel Rosario. Ohm is 15-1, and the outside Belvoir Bay, Javier Castellano, is 12-1. So that rounds out the draw and the morning line odds for the 2019 running over 5 furlongs of the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And now it's the Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile with Brittany Earton.
I was told I could call it that. Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile, $1 million on the line.
The Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile is a 2-turn test here at Santa Anita, and rider strategy can be crucial to success. That was the case in 2014 when Golden Sense won this race for a 2nd straight year after some sizzling early fractions. It's a challenge that can produce some boxcar payoffs, as we saw with Furthest Land 10 years ago at Santa Anita. This is the Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile.
It was a big question which race Richard Mandela was going to choose for Omaha Beach, and he has landed here in the Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile. 10 horses entered for 3-year-olds and upward, as mentioned, $1 million on the line. Gentlemen.
Number 10.
Number 10, Snapper Sinclair.
Snapper Sinclair, outside post position for trainer Steve Asmussen, and in the irons, Ricardo Santana Jr., 30-1.
Number 1.
Number 1, Giant Expectations.
Draws the rail, Giant Expectations for Jose Ortiz and Peter Earton, 12-1.
Number 7.
Number 7, Coal Front.
Coal Front, your Godolphin Mile winner, post position 7 for trainer Todd Pletcher. 6-1.
Number 4.
Number 4, Mr. Money.
Mr. Money, post position 4 for trainer Brett Calhoun. Gabe Zayas in the irons, 6-1.
Number 9.
Number 9, Diamond Oops.
Diamond Oops for Patrick Biancone. Julian Leperoux, what a role he's been on, 15-1.
Number 2.
Number 2, Improbable.
Improbable post position 2 for Bob Baffert. Rafael Bejarano in the irons, your favorite for the Kentucky Derby and Preakness. And it seems Baffert's been quite bullish on how he's been training.
Number 8.
Number 8, Blue Chipper.
Blue Chipper, truly a global entrant. First runner from Korea, bred in Kentucky and ridden by a Frenchman. Blue Chipper, post position 8, 20-1.
Number 6.
Number 6, Ambassadorial.
Ambassadorial for Jane Chapel-Hyman. Jamie Spencer in the irons, post 6, 30-1.
Number 3.
Number 3, Spun to Run.
Spun to Run for Juan Carlos Guerrera Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons, post position 3 and 6-1 on the morning line. And last but surely not least,
Number 5.
Number 5, Omaha Beach.
Omaha Beach. What a training job. Can we say it again? Man-O Mandela off of that layoff to win the Grade 1 Santa Anita Sprint Championship. Your morning line favorite for the Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, Omaha Beach. 8-5 for Mike Smith and Richard Mandela. That is your field for the Big Ass Fans Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. I was just going to say it one more time. Nick?
Thank you, Brittany. I think the sponsors got their due there. We move on to this year's running of the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Total prize fund of $2 million here for fillies and mares, 1.25 miles on the turf.
The Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf annually features some of the best in the world among the female turf runners. Last year, Sister Charlie came storming home to get the money over a star-studded field. The brilliant Ouija board came to the fore in 2006 as she won this race for a second time. And Queen's Trust took legendary trainer Sir Michael Stout to the winner's circle in 2016. This is the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf.
Filly and Mare Turf was first run in 1999, but the US horses have more than held their own, winning 12 editions of this race. 4 of them have gone the way of Chad Brown. 12 have drawn into the field this year. No also eligibles.
Number 6.
Number 6, Thais.
Post position 6. For some of the likely pace, Thais.
Number 5.
Number 5, Mirth.
Oh, I think we've got a mistake there. Number 6 was Thais. There we go. Just in case you were worried that Vasilika was in there, Thais there. Install 6, Manny Franco, odds of 30-1.
No, the next one was number 5.
Number 5 was Mirth.
Number 5 is Mirth. Post position 5 for Mirth. Mike Smith riding for Phil D'Amato. Mike Smith, 26 times he's won Breeders' Cup races. 20-1.
Number 10.
Number 10, Mississippi.
Post position 10 for Mississippi. Trained by Graham Motion, ridden by Joel Rosario. 8-1, opting to come here rather than the turf.
Number 8.
Number 8, Castle Lady.
Post position 8 for Castle Lady. One of just a couple of French runners at this year's Breeders' Cup. Mikel Barcelona taking the ride for Henri Alex Pontal. 15-1.
Number 12.
Number 12, Fanny Logan.
Post position 12 for Fanny Logan. John Gosden, sole Breeders' Cup representative, ridden by Frankie Dettori. 15-1-5-1, winner of the Pride Stakes at Newmarket and winner of her last 4 starts.
Number 1.
Number 1, Iridessa.
Drawing the inside post, Iridessa. Trained by Joseph O'Brien, ridden by Wayne Lorden. 8-1 on the morning line. 3-time Grade 1 winner.
Number 3.
Number 3, Fleeting.
Post position 3 for one of the unluckiest horses in training this year. The Aidan O'Brien trained Fleeting, ridden by Ryan Moore. 6-1 on the morning line. The trainer is yet to win this race.
Number 11.
Number 11, Just Wonderful.
Stable companion from post position 11 is Just Wonderful. William Buick riding in the silks of Michael Tabor. Silks carried by Long Cress in second in this race in 2003.
Number 2.
Number 2, Sister Charlie.
2. Sister Charlie, the heavy favorite for this race on the morning line, 8-5. John Velasquez bidding to give the trainer a 5th win.
Number 4.
Number 4, Bilsden Brook.
Post position 4. The dual Group 1 winner, Bilsden Brook. Classic winner last year. Looking to give trainer Richard Hannon a first Breeders' Cup success. Sean Levy, a debut Breeders' Cup ride. 10-1 on the morning line.
Number 9.
Number 9, Villa Marina.
Drawing post position 9. Another one for France, Villa Marina. Ridden by Olivier Pellier for Carlos Lafont-Parias. 8-1 on the morning line.
And number 7.
Number 7, Vasilika.
And 7 is Vasilika. Trained by Dan Ward and ridden by Flavien Prat. So that rounds out the dozen then for the 2019 edition of the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. And next up is the eagerly anticipated Breeders' Cup Sprint. Brittany.
Build is truly one of the most competitive races on the 2 days. The Sprint, one of the original 7 Breeders' Cup races, $2 million on the line and 6 furlongs the distance.
The Breeders' Cup Sprint. Open the gates and let them fly. It's the essence of thoroughbred. Pure speed. Last year, Roy H. became the second back-to-back winner of the Sprint. The first was Midnight Loot, and he achieved that feat here at Santa Anita in 2008. And you can win this race from the clouds, too, as Card Mania demonstrated here in 1993. This is the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
10 horses entered for the Breeders' Cup Sprint, $2 million, as I mentioned, on the line, and some very talented runners filling this gate.
Number 5.
Number 5, Engage.
Engage, your Breeders' Cup win, and you're in winner of the Grade 2 Phoenix. Engage for Steve Asmussen and John Velasquez, 15-1.
Number 10.
Number 10, Matera Sky.
Matera Sky, the Japanese runner, outside post position 10. Second in the Golden Shaheen, 30-1.
Number 9.
Number 9, Imperial Hint.
Imperial Hint, also known as the Little Rocket, small in stature but a big heart. Imperial Hint, Javier Castellano, Luis Carvajal, 4-1.
Number 7.
Number 7, Whitmore.
Whitmore, post position 7 for Ron Roquette. Flavien Prat in the irons, 15-1 on the morning line.
Number 8.
Number 8, Landeskog.
Landeskog, post position 8 for trainer Doug O'Neill. Abel Cedillo has the mount in 12-1 on the morning line.
Number 3.
Number 3, Forenzen Fire.
Firenze Fire involved in that tough battle with Imperial Hint. Jason Service will send him out. Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons, 12-1.
Number 4.
Number 4, Matole.
Matole, post position 4 for trainer Steve Asmussen. He has won 8 of his last 9 races, including 3 Grade 1s. 9-5, Matole.
Number 6.
Number 6, Chancelot.
Chancelot for Jorge Navarro, a record breaker in Saratoga and has been lighting up the track in his morning workouts. Post position 6, 4-1.
Number 1.
Number 1, Catalina Cruiser.
Catalina Cruiser for John Sadler, inside post position in this sprint race. Joel Rosario in the irons. The favorite for the dirt mile last year chooses to contest the sprint today, 4-1.
And number 2.
Number 2, Hog Creek Hustle.
Hog Creek Hustle has quite a kick. Post position 2, 20-1 for trainer Vicky Foley and Mike Smith in the irons. This is your field for the Breeders' Cup Sprint, $2 million. Your morning line favorite, 9-5, Matoli. Bring Nick back up for the next turf race.
All right, we move on now to the draw for the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile.
The TVG Breeders' Cup Mile brings together an international field for a race that requires a unique combination of speed, stamina, and strategy. The race that propelled Wise Dan to greatness on the Santa Anita sod in 2012 and 2013. This was also where Goldikova notched her first and second of her 3 victories in the mile. Maybe another Euro win this year? This is the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile.
Maybe, but it's worth pointing out ahead of this Breeders' Cup Mile, worth $2 million mile on the turf, that of the 35 editions of this race to have been run so far, 21 of them have gone to home-trained horses and 14 to European invaders. Draws a full field this time of 14 with 2 also eligibles, gents.
Also eligible number 15, Caribou Club, and also eligible number 16, Next Shares.
So here they are then, the 14 in an intriguing edition of the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile.
Number 4.
Number 4, Trey Fleur.
Number 4, post position 4 for Trey Fleur, ridden by Billy Lee for Ken Condon, 20-1 on the morning line. Trey Fleur.
Number 1.
Sueda.
Drawing the inside this time is Suedois, an admirable veteran. Javier Castellano has been booked to ride by trainer David O'Mara, 20-1, placed in the race before.
Number 6.
Number 6, Got Stormy.
Drawing 6, post position 6, Got Stormy, morning line odds of 7-2, Tyler Gaffleone, for the man who trained the great Tepin to win this race, Mark Cassie.
Number 8.
Number 8, El Tormenta.
Post position 8 for El Tormento. Eureka da Silva for Gail Cox. Morning line odds of 12-1. El Tormenta.
Number 5.
Number 5, True Valor.
5 is True Valor. True Valor for Simon Callahan and jockey Drayden Van Dyke. 20-1 from 5.
Number 7.
Number 7, Bolo.
Another locally trained horse, post position 7. Bolo, shock winner of the Shoemaker Mile. Carla Gaines trains Julien Leperoux, taking the ride.
Number 2.
Number 2, Lou Cullen.
Post position 2 for Lou Cullen. Louis Saez for Kieran McLaughlin. Morning line odds of 12-1. Lou Cullen.
Number 3.
Number 3, Space Traveler.
3 is the winner at Irish Champions Weekend, Space Traveller. Danny Tudhope riding for Richard Fahey, odds of 12-1. Chosen to ride this horse over number 1, Suedois.
Number 11.
Number 11, Uni.
11 is the filly supplemented late into this race, 7-2. Joint choice on the morning line, Joel Rosario for Chad Brown. Uni, 7-2 from 11.
Number 10.
Number 10, Without Parole.
Drawing into the race, formerly trained by John Gosden, but also now with Chad Brown. Irad Ortiz rides Without Parole, 20-1. Without Parole, last year's St. James's Palace Stakes winner.
Number 12.
Number 12, Lord Glitters.
Drawing 12, this year's Queen Anne Stakes winner at Royal Ascot. Lord Glitters, ridden by Jamie Spencer, 12-1.
Number 13.
Number 13, Hey Gaman.
Drawing 13, Hey Gaman for James Tate. Frankie Dettori takes the ride. Frankie Dettori won the race last year on Expert Eye, 12-1.
Number 9.
Number 9, Circus Maximus.
Drawing post position 9 is Circus Maximus The Royal Ascot winner, multiple Group 1 winner, trained by Aidan O'Brien. Ryan Moore will ride Circus Maximus in a bid to give the Niarchos family's Flaxman Holdings an extraordinary 7th victory in the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile.
Number 14.
Number 14, Bowie's Hero.
Which leaves the outside gate for the winner of the Shadwell Turf Mile at Keeneland, Bowie's Hero. Jockey Flavian Pratt will take the ride for Phil D'Amato. And that completes the field of 14 for enthralling edition of the $2 million TVG Breeders' Cup Mile. Brittany?
Up next, the Longines Distaff, $2 million on the line, a mile and an eighth in the distance, and we've been so lucky to witness some unforgettable performances, especially most recently here at the Great Race Place with a matchup of Beholder and Songbird, truly one for the ages, and this year, no doubt, will be one of the same.
The Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff puts the leading ladies of thoroughbred racing on the marquee for the sport's biggest day. It's the race that punched Personal Ensign's ticket to the Hall of Fame with an undefeated record. And the magnificent Beholder won a second distaff in dramatic fashion right here just 3 years ago. Last year, Monomoy Girl cemented a championship with a decisive score in this race. This is the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Performances by fillies and mares over the years that we can't forget and stick in your mind for years to come. Perhaps this year will be another one of those. Midnight Bisou has put herself into the conversation for Horse of the Year. Let's see where in the starting gate she lands.
Number 1.
Number 1, Paradise Woods.
Paradise Woods for trainer John Sheriff. It is 10 years ago that his mare Zenyatta won the Breeders' Cup Classic. Paradise Woods in the distaff, Abel Cedillo in the irons, 5-1.
Number 9.
Number 9, Serengeti Empress.
The speedy Serengeti Empress for trainer Tom Amos. Flavian Pratt has the mount 12-1. Post position 9 for Serengeti Empress.
Number 3.
Number 3, Street Band.
Street Band, post position 3 for trainer Larry Jones, and Sophie Doyle in the irons. This horse gave her very first Grade 1 victory in the Cotillion last out.
Number 10.
Number 10, Mosi Cal.
Mosi Cal, post position 10 for trainer Peter Miller. Paco Lopez has them out 30-1 on the morning line.
Number 2.
Number 2, Ollie's Candy.
Ollie's Candy, post position 2 for trainer John Sadler and Joel Rosario. This is a first Breeders' Cup runner for owner and breeders Paul and Karen Eggert.
Number 6.
Number 6, Wow Cat.
Wow Cat, post position 6 for trainer Chad Brown. Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons 15-1 for Wow Cat.
Number 7.
Number 7, Secret Spice.
Secret Spice, post position 7 for trainer Richard Baltus, 10-1. John Velasquez has the mount.
Number 4.
Number 4, Midnight Bisou.
And Midnight Bisou, a perfect 7 for 7 this year. She draws post position 4 and is your 6-5 morning line favorite.
Number 11.
Number 11, Blue Prize.
Blue Prize for Ignacio Correas. She gave him back-to-back wins in the Grade 1 Spinster last out, post 11 and 6-1.
Number 8.
Number 8, La Force.
La Force for Patty Gallagher and Drayden Van Dyke draws post position 8, 30-1.
And number 5.
Number 5, Dunbar Road.
A second for trainer Chad Brown in the Longines Distaff. That's Dunbar Road. Post position 5, Jose Ortiz in the irons, 6-1. This is a Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, a total of 11 horses. That is a look at the field with the ladies taking the stage. Coming up next, Nick for the prestigious turf.
Right, we've got the hang of this now. Next up, it is the most important and prestigious race on the grass of the weekend. It is the $4 million Longines Breeders' Cup Turf.
The Longines Breeders' Cup Turf is an international test of champions. The 2003 renewal produced a dead heat between High Chaparral and Johar. 10 years earlier, Kodashan secured Horse of the Year honors with his hometown victory for trainer Richard Mandela. Last year, Enable enhanced her legendary status in this game with a thrilling victory over Magical. This is the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf.
And very sadly, Magical hasn't been able to make the trip, as you heard earlier on. She spiked a temperature this morning, but we've got a great field of 12 going to post for the Breeders' Cup Turf. Aidan O'Brien seeking a 7th victory in this race. Of the 35 runnings of this race, there have been 36 winners because of that dead heat between High Chaparral and Johar here 16 years ago. 22 European winners, 14 winners based here in the United States. Gentlemen.
Number 11.
Number 11, Arklow.
11 is Arklow. Post position 11 for Arklow. There we go, Javier Castellano for Brad Cox. Very tough performer indeed. 12-1 on the morning line.
Number 4.
Number 4, Mount Everest.
4 is Mount Everest, one of a brace of remaining runners for Aidan O'Brien. Wayne Lorden takes the ride in the colours sported to victory in this race by Main Sequence. 15-1, Mount Everest.
Number 2.
Number 2, Acclimate.
2 is Acclimate. Phil D'Amato trains. Martin Garcia takes the ride. Morning line odds of 20-1, Acclimate.
Number 12.
Number 12, Channel Maker.
12 is Channel Maker, strongly fancied for this race last year. John Velasquez for Bill Mott, a 10-1 shot on the morning line this time round.
Number 1.
Number 1, Zulu Alpha.
Post position 1 here for Zulu Alpha. Jose Ortiz for Mike Maker, 20-1.
Number 9.
Number 9, Bricks and Mortar.
He runs here in preference to the Breeders' Cup Mile. 9-5, Bricks and Mortar, undefeated this year, Irad Ortiz for Chad Brown, up to 1.5 miles.
Number 6.
Number 6, Channel Cat.
Post position 6 for Channel Cat, Luis Saiz for Todd Pletcher, 15-1.
Number 3.
Number 3, United.
Took it in 93, took it in 2003, or at least half of it. Richard Mandela's here again, this time with United from post position 3. Flavian Pratt, 20-1, the lightly raced United.
Number 8.
Number 8, Bandua.
8 in the same ownership as Channel Cat is Bandua. Tyler Gaffleone for Jack Sisterson, 20-1.
Number 7.
Number 7, Alunak.
7 is the German challenger, French-bred, trained in Germany by Waldemar Hickst, Alunak. Second in the Canadian International. Clément Lecoeuvre with a first Breeders' Cup ride, 20-1.
Number 10.
Number 10, Old Persian.
Godolphin have won this race before with Fantastic Light, Daylami, Talismanic most recently. Here's Old Persian from 10, William Buick, 4-1.
And number 5.
Number 5, Anthony Van Dyke.
And in post position 5, looking to give Aidan O'Brien a 7th victory in this race, Ryan Moore in the saddle, 3-1. Second choice on the morning line is the Derby winner from Epsom, Anthony Van Dyke. So a field of 12 lining up for this year's edition of the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf, worth $4 million and using the 1.5 mile hillside turf course.
One final race to go. 36 years ago, an idea came to fruition to create an end-of-the-year championships for thoroughbreds, bringing the best of the best from across the world and truly a global event, all to compete on one stage. But what started as a one-day, 7-race event has turned into 2 days, 14 races with over $30 million in purses and awards. And the marquee event, the $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
The $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. It was with Arrogate here at Santa Anita 3 years ago, who stole the show in a scintillating stretch duo with California Chrome. Who can forget Zenyatta beating the boys a decade ago under the roar of the Santa Anita crowd? And the upsets of all upsets, Arcom in 1993. This is the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
And we have a field of 11 horses in total for the $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. 3-year-olds and upward going the classic 1.25 mile distance. Gentlemen, take it away.
Number 8.
Number 8, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, post position 8 for trainer Bob Baffert, named in honor of the late Brad Mackenzie, and his legacy lives on in the form of the morning line favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Number 4.
Number 4, War of Will.
War of Will, post position 4 for trainer Mark Cassie. Tyler Gaffleone in the irons for Gary Barber, 20-1, your Preakness winner. And when asked why the classic, Cassie stated, go big or go home.
Number 10.
Number 10, Vino Rosso.
Vino Rosso, post position 10 for trainer Todd Pletcher. Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons, 4-1, and I'm sure the red wine will be flowing if the son of Curlin were to win the classic. Perhaps the colt that grew up with Justify has his time to shine.
Number 11.
Number 11, Code of Honor.
Code of Honor, the outside post position 11 for trainer Shug McGahee on the 30-year anniversary of the incredible stretch battle between Easy Goer and Sunday Silence. Code of Honor looks to give his Hall of Fame trainer one better, a first victory in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Number 2.
Number 2, Seeking the Soul.
Seeking the Soul, post position 2. Dallas Stewart, Brian Hernandez team up here, 20-1. He was second in last year's Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and if we've learned anything over the years, do not dismiss Dallas Stewart on the big stage.
Number 5.
Number 5, Yoshida.
Yoshida, post position 5 for Bill Mott, one of 2 runners in this race. He'll have the Hall of Famer Mike Smith in the irons, a fast closing 4th in the Classic this year. You can see the Silks of China Horse Club, but also Windstar Farm involved as this deja vu of Drosselmeyer.
Number 3.
Number 3, Owendale.
Owendale, post position 3 for trainer Brad Cox. Javier Castellano in the irons. He's a winner of 3 Grade 3 races on the year, and according to Brad, he is thriving right now.
Number 6.
Number 6, Elate.
On the 10-year anniversary of Zenyatta beating the boys in the Breeders' Cup Classic, Elate looks to join that elite group, a group of currently 1 for her Hall of Fame trainer, Bill Mott. Jose Ortiz in the irons, 6-1.
Number 1.
Number 1, Math Wizard.
Math Wizard draws the rail, post position 1 for Sappy Joseph Jr. This is his first Breeders' Cup runner, the Barbados native who had us all in absolute tears after his victory in the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby and those post-race comments.
Number 7.
Number 7, Higher Power.
Baronis Racing and John Sadler look to go back-to-back in the Breeders' Cup Classic, this time with Higher Power. If he were to do so, John Sadler would only become the 2nd trainer to win in back-to-back years with different horses.
And number 9.
Number 9, Mongolian Groom.
Mongolian Groom, the upset winner of the Grade 1 Awesome Again, was nominated for $200,000 to make him eligible for this race. Mongolian Stables has seen victory at the Breeders' Cup, but this undoubtedly would be the biggest American victory for them. Mongolian Groom, Abel Cedillo in the irons, 12-1. That is your field for the $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. It is no small feat to make it here, so a big congratulations to all of the connections and best of luck on Friday and Saturday. We're going to have some final thoughts from Lafitte Pinkai before we take a short break, so stay tuned.
Brittany, thank you. Wow, so many stories. You have the field for that 36 Breeders' Cup Classic and the fields for the 14 Breeders' Cup races here at Santa Anita, again hosting for the 10th time. So the real handicapping can now start. We know who the favorites are. Mackenzie, 3-1 on the morning line for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Bob Baffert looking to do some more damage, looking for a 4th win in the Classic. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you'll hear from some of the connections of some of the key contenders in the Breeders' Cup Classic as our coverage from this Rude and Riddle post-position draw continues. Takers? Should I try to separate these, or? I don't know. Actually, it's duct tape. I don't think so. Post-position draw, the Rude and Riddle post-position draw for this 36 Breeders' Cup World Championships. A lot of buzz, a lot of excitement now that we have those fields assembled. If we have a moment, we would like to welcome up a Hall of Famer to the podium here. Bill Mott has won multiple editions of the Breeders' Cup Classic. He's going to take a step up, join us here and discuss the late. Bill, thanks for taking the time. Bill Mott, the Hall of Famer. Bill, you didn't seem at all discouraged after Elate's loss in the Spinster, getting ready for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Why was that?
Well, I mean, it was really a good race. I think it was probably maybe a better race than what it appears, and it came out to be a very fast race, speed figure-wise. The horse that beat us is a real specialist at Keeneland, a nice mare, but has an affinity for Keeneland.
Do you get caught up in the history of things? What goes through your mind when you think about Elate joining the likes of an absolute bona fide superstar in Zenyatta, the only female to have won a Breeders' Cup Classic?
It's hard to be comparable to her. I mean, obviously she was a very special horse and one of the very best, but I just think, I guess with our mare going in the Classic, it's based on the fact that she has a lot of class and she's been proven at 1.25 miles. I mean, she seems better at that distance than any distance.
How difficult of a decision was it between the Distaff and the Classic?
We were talking about the Classic last year, and we were unable to make it because of some soundness issues. I think it's something that we've always wanted to do.
What has Elate shown you since the Spinster?
She came back and worked very quick at Churchill. I mean, I just wanted to sharpen her up a little bit. She's, been going all year. She's plenty fit. I know she gets the trip. I just wanted to, maybe sharpen her speed a little bit, and that's all we've done. Nothing fancy.
Previous Classic success, Cigar, Drosselmeyer, is there anything you can apply then that worked then that you could apply now to have Elate that much better prepared for the Classic?